Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the circus. My name is Nareve, and today I'm going to play a little bit of Diablo 3. Now, for anybody that does not know, I would consider myself a definite Blizzard fanboy. I love pretty much everything that Blizzard produces, except for realistically StarCraft. I'm sorry. I suck at games like that. However, today what we are going to do is I'm going to be discussing some Demon Hunter stuff, right? So right now I'm playing the Demon Hunter in Diablo 3. It's a lot of fun, but I really wanted to see, I wanted to test my own limits and see how can I do in a greater rift. So I have been building some gear and everything. Now, for anybody that does not know, greater rifts are obtained by, or you can do them by obtaining a greater rift key fragment from a normal rift, and then that allows you to do greater rifts, and they get exponentially harder as time goes on. So here we are, we're going to do the Demon Hunter stuff, more or less. So, again, I'm a pretty big fan of the Demon Hunter. I think they're pretty fun, and realistically, they're not that hard to do greater rifts through. I'm going to say a few things that involve my build, what my build is, and why it is that way, and then I'm going to just go ahead and jump on into a greater rift and see how this works. So I haven't really... sorry, I clicked out, so it's going to be a little choppy. So I haven't really done too much when it comes to actual greater rifts and everything. I've done a fair little bit, but really haven't done too terribly much, and I'm not the best at the game. So I wanted to delve into a build that I found online. Now, obviously, I'm out of season right now. Season 8 just started, and I'm not currently doing Season 8. I just wanted to do some out-of-season stuff to see how good I could do. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. First, I want to say this build, if you don't have the 6 set for this build, don't even try this build. I tried it without the boots, and it was largely ineffective, and really I didn't get very far with it. So first, it's this Unhallowed Essence set for Demon Hunters. Before I jump too far into what each piece of gear is and why it's that way, I want to say you can either get when it comes to getting set items, you can either get the regular set item or you can get something called an ancient set item. An ancient set item is substantially better across the board always. So the ancient set items, you'll notice that it has the possibility to have much higher stats. So these boots usually only go up to 550. Well, with this ancient set item, it can go from 550 to 650. And that's a pretty big deal when it comes to getting those upper level greater rifts. So I've noticed that every 5 it sets up another tier to where I think it's greater rift 60 is tier 13 equivalent. And so it gets pretty difficult pretty quickly. So yeah, let's just jump into the gear. So the first thing that I have is obviously going to be my full set. Now, a lot of people would say when it comes to gems and everything that you want to kind of stick to the resist all, but where I'm at right now, I wanted to throw a little bit more damage in to make my life easier. So the first thing I'm going to discuss is the shoulders. You want them to have dexterity. You want them to have resist all and vitality if possible. But more importantly for me, I wanted the cooldown reduction of all skills by 8%. You can get it to a maximum of 8%. I was lucky and got a maximum roll. Also, I didn't re-roll my resist all for vitality on this one just because, oh my god, is it nice to have a max roll on resist all. It does make a difference for me, I'm noticing. Next, I'm going to go into the Fiendish Grips. Obviously, Dex and Vitality are big, but here's the thing. I got really lucky with a critical hit damage roll. 43, it can go anywhere from 26 to 50. I was really lucky and got a pretty good roll. Next, we're going to jump into the helmet. You really do want the crit hit chance and the multi-strike, or the multi-shot damage, along with your dexterity, and obviously, whenever you can, you're going to want to get a gem socket. Next, we're going to jump into the chest piece. Really not much to mention here. Max Discipline is what I went for because it is of vital importance with this build, and I will jump into why in a minute. Next, we're going to go on to the pants. Obviously, these aren't great. I could have much better stats on these, but I don't. Not too worried. I'll get better as time goes on. This is a work in progress, obviously. The boots that I already showed off, I went for multi-shot damage because, as I'm going to get into in a minute, that's your bread and butter. For my rings, focus and restraint are the two that I went for. Again, you really do need to have your socket. If you don't have a socket anywhere else, you need to have it on 4 things. You need to have your socket on 1. You need to have it on your ring. Both rings, actually. So that's going to count as 1 and 2. You need to have it on your necklace, and you need to have it on your weapon. Those are the 4 things, 3 different things, that it is imperative that you have sockets on. And I will jump into that in a minute. Next, for my weapon, I went with Yang's Recurve. Now, the reason why is because your multi-shot attacks 50% faster. And that, actually, I'll show you the difference real quick. Let's just go with any old thing. So, here's multi-shot normally. It's pretty slow. Now, when you pop in your Yang's Recurve, substantially faster. And that does make a difference. Along with the Yang's Recurve, I'm going with Dead Man's Legacy because it makes it so your multi-shot hits enemies below 60% health twice. Now, that isn't always 60. It can be anywhere from 50 to 60. I got really lucky again and got a max roll on that. Notice I also did increase multi-shot damage, or that this does also increase your multi-shot damage by a substantial amount. And you'll notice a reoccurring theme. Crit hit chance, crit hit damage, socket, CDR, multi-shot. Next, we're going to jump into the bracers. I'm using the Wraps of Clarity. This is vital when you use a Hatred Generator, which is going to be your evasive fire. It increases your reduces your damage taken, I should say, by between 30 and 35%. I got the 35%. Pretty satisfied with that. And then you'll also notice that I re-rolled for fire skills. Now, the reason why is because your multi-shot and your vault, when this is all said and done, are both going to be fire. So it does make a difference. Next, I went with the Hellfire Amulet. It gave me the ambush passive, which is cool. I don't mind. Realistically, kind of wish it was something else, but ambush is still a great passive. And then, of course, the gem inside of it. As for my belt, I'm not too happy with it. I'm trying to get a witching hour. But for now, this does definitely work pretty well because it has some good sustain built into it with that 10% to life. It does make doing greater rifts substantially easier. Now I want to discuss the gems that I'm using. I'm currently using the Bane of the Powerful, Z's Stone of Vengeance, and Bane of the Trapped. I think they're all level 52. So what Bane of the Powerful does is it gives you a 20% increase to your damage for X amount of time after you kill an elite pack. At the current rank that I'm at, I get 82 seconds out of it, which is a substantially long time in a greater rift. That means I basically always have 20% increased damage. It also, once you hit level 25, gives you a second passive, which is gains 15% increased damage versus elites and takes 15% reduced damage versus elites. That is amazing. So one, you're attacking elites faster and harder and hitting them harder and taking less damage from them. But two, after you kill them, you're getting 20% increased damage. The next one that I'm using is Bane of the Trapped. Bane of the Trapped makes it so any monsters that are under the mind controlling effect or impairing, movement impairing, whatever it may be, effects take 30% more damage at rank 52. I don't know what the breakdown is for less ranks. I only know what I'm at currently. Again, I'm not an expert at this game. I just enjoy it. It also, once you hit level 25 on the gem, gives you the boost, the extra passive of you gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of all enemies within 15 yards of you by 30%. So that means any enemy within 15 yards of me is taking 30% extra damage because they're all slowed. Last, I am using Z's Stone of Vengeance. Damage you deal is increased by 8.24 for every enemy, or for every 10 yards between you and the enemy, with a maximum of 41.2 yards increased. Damage increased. Wow, this is substantially hard. Read it if you want to. Reading is extremely difficult for me, apparently. Second passive, making it so you have a 20% chance to stun an enemy for 1 second, which, again, if that goes off, then that's just another Bane of the Trapped boon, if you will. So I prefer using these because, one, it makes it so anything that's close to me is dying quickly. But two, makes it so anything far away from me is also dying quickly. It makes it so you get that kind of all-around goodness that is death. Now, before I move on to my passives and my actual abilities that I'm using, I do want to say I have this Radaman's Gift. What it does is it makes it so you get a free socket on your gear, which means you can re-roll a socket to be anything, or I should say it goes on your weapon. However, I don't want to use it on a non-ancient Yang's recurve bow, so I'm not using it yet. That will also make a substantial difference because that means I could turn that that socket into like crit hit or something. I could turn it into attack damage. What do they call it? Area damage. Vitality. I could turn it into vitality, get a little more survivability. There's a lot of things that I can turn that socket into once I get an ancient version. Again, I don't want to waste this because I don't get them too often, so I'm not using it quite yet. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about skills. Here are the skills that I'm using right now. Evasive Fire with Focus. What Focus does is it makes it so basically you generate more hatred. Multi-Shot with Arsenal. Arsenal, every time you fire, launch a homing missile. So if I go just something else for now, right? You'll notice when I fire it, nothing's coming out. It's just that straight line, okay? However, if I go back to Arsenal, you'll notice it fires homing missiles everywhere. And that makes clearing rifts substantially easier because now you're not only hitting the target that's directly in front of you, but you're also hitting targets everywhere. And you'll notice once I actually jump in, it does make a difference to have as much damage going out as you can. Next, I use Vault with Trail of Cinders. Leaves a fire in your wake when you vault. That is very nice for if say enemies are over here, right? And they're coming at you. If you vault in, then vault back out, as they're coming to you and you're shooting them, they're also walking on your fire and taking some good damage. It also makes it so when you're just straight up vaulting away from enemies and they're tracing you, they're also taking damage. And believe me when I say, once you get up there in greater rifts, you need that damage. Next, I'm using Preparation with Invigoration. What Preparation does is it instantly restores 30 of your hatred, your discipline, which is used for like vaulting and everything. So if you're vaulting around and you suddenly realize, oh no, I'm gonna die because I'm not able to vault away from everything, well then you just pop that and suddenly you can keep vaulting. It also helps for, management of your abilities and everything. Next, I'm going to go into my companion with the wolf. I'm using companion. Obviously, it's just as it sounds. It's a pet that follows you around and does damage. But the wolf one makes it so they will, when you activate your companion, it taunts and increases you and all allies' damage by a slight margin for a short amount of time. It's not a massive buff, but it's enough of a buff that it does make a difference for fighting elite packs or the end boss. And then last of the abilities that I'm using Vengeance, which makes it so you just go crazy, you do some crazy damage, and things cost less, more or less is what it is. And then the rune of Seath that I'm using with it increases my hatred regeneration. For passives, I'm using ballistics, increases damage of rockets, which, if you remember back to the multi-shot, are getting launched everywhere. And then it also makes it so you can launch more, and they do more damage. Coal of the Week increases all damage against slowed or chilled enemies. Tie back to Bane of the Trap, or Bane of the Stricken, whichever one it was. Obviously, this is going to be used all the time. So basically, all those enemies that are near me are going to have that 20% increase in damage on them, which, when you're in a close, confined space, is pretty nice. Thrill of the Hunt. Enemies hit by your hatred spenders are slowed by 80% for 2 seconds. Hatred spenders being multi-shot. So, now I have enemies close up by me that are slowed and taking a substantial amount of damage. You got the 30% plus this 20% here. But now, 80% chance that all enemies that I'm hitting from far away, which are being affected by my other gem, are now also taking that increase of 20% on top of the other gem, which is another 30%. So I hope that at this point you're seeing a trend that you want to try to stay away from things. If they get close to you, you're still going to nuke them down pretty well. But the further away from things that you are, the more damage that you're actually doing to them with this specific build. You do not want to be close, but if you are close, just nuke things down. Last, I'm using Leech, and that's just because the little bit of health regen that this gives definitely has saved me quite a few times. You'll notice when I actually get in there, there's going to be a few times where I come a Tix Hairy Nut from death, and you don't want to die in these. Each time you die, you get 5 extra seconds tacked on to how long you're dead for, up to a maximum of 30 seconds. And so dying in these really is detrimental. 1 or 2 deaths, 10, 15 seconds isn't going to kill you. But once you start getting up to that 20, 25, even 30 seconds of death timer, you're not going to be able to get the Greater Rift done in time to actually get the bonus.
If only our intrepid traveler knew what was in store for him in just a few minutes, he would know that he fucked up.
Now that I've gone over skills and the gear and everything, I do want to make a couple last minute things. One, come over to your Kanai's Cube, and you do want to have, actually, let me move this to up here for a minute. All right. Whoa, we're moving. Whoa, crazy. Now that we're over here at our Kanai's Cube, I want to go over kind of what I'm using in mine. So first I'm using Dawn, which makes it so the cooldown of your Vengeance is reduced by 65%. Now, Vengeance is vital for survivability and for damage. You want to have as much uptime on your Vengeance as you can. In an ideal situation, you need to have your cooldown reduction at between 30 and 32% is really the optimal zone, so you can almost always have your Vengeance up. You'll notice I'm at 28.86%. Cooldown reductions right here. So I'm a little bit under where I would like to be, hence why I want to get the Witching Hour. However, with that being said, if you can maintain as much positive uptime on your Vengeance as possible, you're going to make it's going to make going through these greater rifts substantially easier. Next, I'm using Cinder Coat, which makes it so the resource cost of all my fire skills, back to multi-shot and vault, costs 30% less. So that means my multi-shot that I'm shooting out consistently, always, forever, just spamming the hell out of it, now doesn't drain me as quickly, and I can use it much more effectively. And the last thing that I'm using is Convention of Elements. What that does is it makes it so periodically 200% more damage is going to come onto my fire skills. All right, so now we've gone over pretty much everything that's necessary. Let's go ahead and talk about rotation real quick, and then let's just jump into it. This is already turning out to be a substantially longer video than I expected. So you'll notice every time I use a resource generator, if you remember, I get a damage increase and a damage decrease. So what you want to do is you want to... I realistically don't walk around. I hold my finger on shift or whatever it is to stand still for you. And then my only movement that I do is through vault, which is on my 1. So I'll vault, I'll lob a couple of these. Every once in a while, I'll just, because I have my hand on shift, I will click, and it'll allow me to use my resource generator, which makes it so, 1, I'm getting those extra procs on my damage because I'm using a resource generator and a resource spender, throwback to restraint and focus. And 2, it's making it so I'm not moving around on accident, because the worst thing that you can do when you're in these is accidentally move and not attack or do something defensive, because you're going to get mobbed and you're going to die really, really quickly. The second thing to keep in mind through all of this is you want to constantly be moving. You really don't want to have much downtime. Unless there's literally nothing around you, you don't want to be standing still, because things in Greater Rifts hit so hard. So now we're just going to jump right into it. We're going to do a Greater Rift now, and I want you guys to know that I am not great at Greater Rifts. I think the highest I've done is a 64. Now we're just going to go ahead and give her a shot. We're going to do, 64. So we're going to go ahead and jump into a 65. Keep in mind, I'm not amazing, and I'm probably going to die multiple times, but let's do this. So I get pretty nervous at these for some reason, but hey, who cares, right? A little bit out of there, because I, like I said, don't want to stand too close in there, and don't want to get hit by other things. And really, that's what Greater Rifts are, is how good are you at dodging? Because if you're not good at dodging and you just kind of stand still, you're going to die rather quickly. And towards the end, if I haven't died, then I'll go ahead and die, just to show you how quickly it can happen if you're not paying attention. Because it does. It sneaks up on you, and then all of a sudden, you're just dead. And I mean real dead. Like, not like your average dead, but like super dead and waiting. So you'll also notice that my vengeance... There you go. Literally one shot. Literally one shot by a white. Not even a rare or a blue or a yellow. It was just a white guy. Got killed by a white guy. Oh, well, that's kind of lame. That's the other thing that kind of sucks about some of these, is dead ends are everywhere. And that's pretty annoying. Huzzah! Just... Alright, 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 alright. Like I said, I'm not great. I don't have the ideal build. But hey, I can kill things. I do need to get a witching hour. Now, since we're already in here, I may as well discuss some other things. Blood shards are something that I'm sure by now, all of you have been getting. And what blood shards are is they're used to gamble. And I will say that the only way you can carry more blood shards is by doing Greater Rifts. And so that means you have to complete these. Which is... I got walled off. I got walled off and dead. But hey, that's a great example of how easy it is to get really, really, really dead in this game. Really, really quick. Tried to go through because I knew I was going to die, but I fucked up. Oh well. Oh well. That's kind of the name of the game, isn't it? Is kind of screwing things up regularly. Now, this is another one of those cases of rooms can get really deadly really quick, especially if you can't see into the room. Case in point. If you can't see into the room, you'll die real quick if you walk in there. So take it slow. Don't rush. As you can see, I'm doing pretty good on my time. I got 9 minutes left. I'm over halfway. I shouldn't be rushing and worrying, but I am, because I'm a tryhard. Yeah. My gear's broken. What the hell? How did my gear break? How did my gear break? Huh. Well, that's shameful. We're going to pretend that never happened. And we're back. I just am doing really terribly. That's all. Not a big deal.
It was at this moment that our intrepid traveler decided to turn off his recording due to the salt getting too high in his bloodstream. But do not fret, for he turned it back on at the end because, well, he got some pretty sweet loot.
Okay, so truth be told, that was a shit show what I just did. Probably not going to include, realistically, any of that. I finished with literally 12 seconds left on the clock. But the reason why I'm recording this is because I do want to jump into the rewards. Yay, everybody likes rewards. And for me, right now, it's going to be my Bane of the Trapped. Well, do I want to go Bane of the Trapped? Just kidding, it's going to be my Z Stone of Vengeance. I totally meant to say that to begin with. So I'm going to just increase that until it's no longer 100% chance. Actually, yeah. Yeah, why not? Why not? Making it good. But the reason why I'm really excited right now and why I did end up starting the recording again is because look what I just got. Another Radament's gift, which means I can make this this bow better and I don't feel bad about it. So there you go. That's it. That's Greater Rifts in a nutshell. Even if you're terrible, like me, you can still get them done in a timely fashion. And plus, let's be realistic. This is some insane XP and gold you get from this, too. And there you go. Also, you'll notice that my blood shard capacity is increased to 1,150. So that's it, guys. That's it. I completed the rift with 12 seconds left. Yay.